Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Monday. Monday. Who would have thought the start of a whole new week? You survived it. You made it. That in itself is a miracle. It is amazing. I am so pleased and so proud of you for getting this far. Who would have thought? I never thought I would make it. I thought that the zombies would come and get me, but that's just me. I seem to do that all the time. But there you have it. So what we're going to do today? Oh, we're going to do the usual. We're going to talk about stuff, ramble about stuff, maybe even get frustrated about stuff. But we're allowed to, because that is life. That is what it's all about at the end of the day. And I just hope that you can join me. Let me just say good morning in the chat. Good morning. Oh, hang on. To you all. Please say hello when you come in. Ta-da! That's good. Right. But I do think that we should pull that down a little bit. And I do think that we should do this. Now the funny thing is, I do not know whether the music for that intro actually just played. I will have to watch that back later. If you're watching just now and you saw that intro, go and have a wee look at it for me. Please tell me if you saw it. If you actually saw it there, that would be a great big help. The seeing it's okay, the hearing it's more important. Simply because, well, I didn't have anything registering it there. Let's have a quick look. I just want to make sure, because you could hear the, what's it called? You could hear the Japanese music. Yeah, that's good. And let's see, where does that play into? Yeah, that should be desktop. Yeah. That should be fine. Anyway. How are yous? Did you have a good weekend? I hope you did. We are going to swap cameras over in just a second, and we're going to go and we're going to go to the weather window today, because I've already made coffee this morning. The reason I already made coffee was because I was too damn dry waking up this morning. So we're not going to make coffee the Rab way. We're going to drink it the Mo way, though. Mo way, which is a good thing. Right, so what we need to do is we need to bring that up there, and we need to do that there like that, and then we need to turn this round like this. We're going to then switch one of the mics off. Let's switch this mic on. We may get some feedback. Yes. Do you hear that? Okay. We are on a different microphone now. Right, that is not actually showing anything. That's what the problem is. We're going to keep this microphone on just now because I have just noticed that there is missing an... it was on there yesterday. I don't know how it's not on there now. An output video capture device in OBS. No, see, that's a video device. We don't want that. We want an outboard sound capture device. And this is called editing on the hoof. You know, we need an audio output. There we go. Add source. StreamYard. Add source there. Let's go and look. There's StreamYard there. And we need to tell it where to pick up the sound. That should be in voice meter number 3. Good, good. We're looking good. We're looking good. Good. Yes. Yes. There we go. There we go. We're going to have an echo now. We switch this one off, and we shouldn't have an echo anymore. Hello? Echo? Echo. Right. That is okay. We did it. 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 Right, let's just check voice meter. Does it have the... There we go. Yes. And yes. And yes. Good. The technical abilities of Mo astound me. Astound me. Right, so let's go to this camera. There we go. Magical. Ta-da! We did it. Let's go to the chat now just to make sure that you guys can hear me. Oh no, we can't go to the chat because if I go to the chat, I'll need to change the cameras again. I won't go to the chat unless we go like... You'll see a strange window for a second. Oh, we don't want to see that. There we go. That's bra. Okay. Hey, Jay. Thank you for joining us. You know, if you can't stay too long, that's okay. I appreciate you just dropping by. It's always a good thing. We're going to quickly look at the weather just now, and then we're going to go straight into the papers because there's lots to cover. There's lots to look at what's going on in the world just now because of what's happening in America, the British version of it all. You know, it's kind of wild. Oh, it's a bit chilly this morning. Let's have a look. Let's have a look east. Looking east, it's a bit overcast and cloudy, and then turning to the west, the sky is the traditional white of Edinburgh, and then down to the ground. There's a bit of a... It's not wind. It's just the air's moving. You know, it's okay. But the birds are singing. That's the important thing. And what's more important is the air is still amazing. I can't get over how good the air smells, more than usual, because of the lack of people driving their cars. It's astounding. I mean, it really, really is astounding, and it's something that we should all be proud of. There we go. It's a very quick on this cam, so we will move back to the other cam because I like that other cam better. Yes, we do. And we are back, I think. But we do need to put that one up. And yeah, that wasn't too bad a transition. Weather's pretty minging. We think it's going to rain today. I don't look at the weather forecast stuff. I just look at the window. It looks like rain. It feels like rain. It's going to rain. Yeah. So. Papers today are filled with the protests that happened down in London over the weekend and everything. and I think it's important that we do take the time to discuss that, but also I think it's important that we take the time to look at the positive things as well. And I've got, where's it gone? I did have a little video lined up. It's just a 2 minutes. I think if you've seen it, you may have already seen it. It's just a cartoon about positivity and a kind of a different attitude. Whether or not we play it, I don't know. I'll just look it up just now. Positivity. And yeah, so what I'm going to say with regards to the riots and things in London, I would never condone violence. I'm a man that, even though I'm an ex-soldier, I've done lots of, different sort of fighting techniques and stuff like that, martial arts wise. I'm a firm believer that violence should always be the last resort, but it does have a place when you're fighting tyranny, oppression, etc. It does have a place when things get exceptionally bad. So I feel that maybe, just maybe, perhaps what has happened in London is something that we should all be aware of, and we should all recognise as a last resort. Some people are obviously taking advantage of it all. Some people are, just being assholes with it. Let's face it, okay? But I think that it's kind of very important that we do recognise the legitimacy of what the message is, and that is, people have had enough. People have genuinely had enough. So let's go to the papers just now and have a wee look at what's going on, and we can see. Let me just make sure that my microphone is working over there. Yes, it is. Good. Right, so papayers, here we are. We'll start off with the Daily Mirror. Now, throughout the papers today, this picture of the protesters throwing a vandalised statue into a river, canal, into a body of water is kind of the theme throughout them all in Britain. Now, the question you've got to ask yourself is, why now? Why are people doing this now? Why is the world exploding into this particular way of thinking? I can honestly say that you could put it down to being locked at home. The resetting of your brain into a paradigm that looks at things in a slightly different way. We've been forced to contemplate our lives. We have been lied to. I'm specifically talking about the UK here. We have been lied to specifically about what can and cannot be done. We voted for a government that wanted to get Brexit done, and the reasons that they told us were not true. We were told by that government that there is no magic money tree to invest in infrastructure for the nation. There's no magic money tree to do what the Labour Party, which is a kind of slightly more socialist government way of thinking. Socialism as a whole doesn't work. We know this, right? Capitalism as a whole does not work either. It forces exploitation and greed. But we'll talk about my paradigm and how I feel things should work after the papers. However, when one side is believed and then a crisis happens and the exact opposite of what they said occurs, the magic money tree is found and we are forced to invest in the nation to keep the nation alive, people then look at that and think, wait a minute. Then they start to think, Now, whether that be a conscious thought or a subconscious thought, it was enough to make people hit the world in such a way that they wanted to topple statues into bodies of water. I mean, let's face it, okay, when you look at that, it's quite a powerful image. Okay, let's read the papers and we'll go through it. Okay, thousands take to the streets across the UK in demonstrations. The March for Change. The March for Change is the lead story on the front page of the Daily Mirror as thousands took part in anti-racism protests across the UK at the weekend. The lead image is a statue of the slave trader Edward Colston being toppled and thrown into Bristol Harbour. That's where it is, Bristol Harbour. Fantastic. So Bristol, if you didn't know, was a port that was very prolific with shipping slaves to the Americas during the time of colonialisation, during that particular time of the slave trade. And it's important to recognise that that is poignant as hell. We have statues of slavers. You have to embrace your history. Okay, you have to. You might not like it, but you have to embrace history. We are the sum of our own experiences. Okay, whether that be as a nation or individual, you are who you are today because of the things that have happened to you in the past. Alright? Do you get that? It's the same for a country. You learn from your mistakes most of the time. Alright? Most of the time you learn from your mistakes. If you don't learn from your mistakes, how can you evolve into a better person? I am technically the same person with the same attitudes as I was when I was 14. Okay? Except I have the benefit now of experience. And the experience is what makes me different from then. Okay, my values have evolved into more a different, kind of different but the same. I still have a live and let live attitude, but it's more specific about certain things, right? And we'll, like I say, we'll come on to that after the papers. However, if you don't evolve, if you don't change, and you're not prepared to change, that's you having this infallible sort of reasoning where you think that you're always right, okay? And you become a bit narcissistic, and you end up with what we talked about last Wednesday in cult behaviours on the human condition as a godlike complex. You know, you consider yourself to be privileged, you seem to consider yourself to be above everybody else, you consider yourself to be right no matter what. So, the fact that we have all these people marching and feeling strong enough to actually take a statue, okay, and if you look there, it's got red there, well, you'll see what that red is in a future picture, to take action, okay, we're taking action. It's a great thing. Okay, the violence, don't like it, but if you feel strongly enough for change, that's okay. But you have to remember the violence on the streets is not coming with mass violence against people. So that's where they're that cusp of things. But when people have had enough and they feel that their voice is not being heard, then that's how civil unrest begins. Okay? Good. Right, let's move on to the Daily Fail. I hate this paper, but it's got the same sort of things going on there. Now, they have defaced as well in London a statue of Winston Churchill. Winston Churchill had his faults, and do I disagree with what they've done there? No, I don't, because they're not destroying the statue, they are making a point, and the point is Winston Churchill was a racist. He did do some questionable things, abandoning certain ethnic sects in India and stuff during the Second World War, and he was still a man that led the nation in a positive way. Okay, I am not saying that the issues that he had with racism shouldn't be addressed. Of course they should, and they should, in the light of everything that's going on just now, it should actually be expressed at the top of everything. You know, but again, let's go back to the evolution of the mind. Okay, let's go back to the way that we are as people. Okay, we are the sum of our own experiences. Do you think if Winston Churchill was around today that he wouldn't have turned around and said, "Oh my God, I can't believe I did that. I'm really sorry"? Okay, of course he would have. Okay, unless he was a complete and utter total wanker. Right? And I don't believe that Winston Churchill was a complete and utter total wanker. He was a leader that was right for the nation at this particular time, and he was a necessity to what was going on. So my feelings completely about that is that we should look at that on as a bigger picture type thing, okay, and be very, very critical of him, and make sure that we address that in an appropriate manner. That statue can be cleaned down. All right, it is a point that is being made. It will get so many people's backs up, and it will turn against the protests. But those people turning against the protests, you're wrong. You are wrong. Deface that statue again and again and again if it gets the message through until something is done about it. Okay, it's like a baby having a tantrum because it cannot communicate effectively to its mum and dad. It's not having a tantrum because it understands you have taken the ball away from it. It doesn't understand that. Okay, it's having a tantrum because it doesn't get what it wants. It wants the ball. Okay, it will keep on crying, but you'll have to put the baby in the bath. Protesters are babies, but with the hindsight, no, the critical thinking aspect of knowing what they want. They will throw a tantrum until they get what they want. Okay, and then the parent will, which are the people in the establishment, should eventually turn around and give them what they want. Right? And what do we want this time? We want a fair and even playing field that does not label people, that does not overtly be critical of somebody because of their skin colour, their race, or their life choices. Alright? That is how I feel about it. I couldn't give a shit at all about your colour or your life choices. I couldn't care less. Alright? That is not what I am about. What I am personally about is about consent. Okay? If you are homosexual and you're a good person, and if you're heterosexual and a good person, if you're trans and you're a good person, if your life choices make you a good person, alright? Why should I give a shit what you do? Alright? As long as you're not abusing children, raping people, killing people, causing harm to people, or kicking dogs and puppies and cats to the ground, hurting animals, alright? As long as you're not exploiting anybody, that's who I am, alright? Everything else, if it's consensual, that's fine. As long as you're not forcing children into consent, I'm fine with that as well. Okay, no, I'm not fine with children having consent. I'm fine with you not forcing children into anything, alright? Don't pick me up wrong here. Anything that's going to hurt a child, as far as I'm concerned, you need to have a blowtorch taken to the soles of your feet. Yeah, that's just me. Punishment should fit the crime. You hurt a child, blowtorch to the feet. Well, I didn't take a blowtorch to the child's feet. Well, that's my punishment that fits the crime, alright? That's just me. Anywho, point being is, why, if you're not causing harm, distress, or discomfort to anything or anyone, you're not depriving people of their property, you're not entering into contracts under falsehood, i.e. lying to people, then why should I give a monkeys about what you do and your life choices? At all. You get me? Maybe we should round up all the racists in the world and stick them on an island and have our own version of the Hunger Games called the Racist Games. Okay, the top dog racist is the one that's left alive at the end of, what, say, we'll give them 3 months. Okay, no food, just one fresh water spring. Okay, and we'll see how quickly it falls into chaos. We can have drones as cameras so they can't rip up any sort of static cameras. That I would watch that shit. The racist factor. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, let's go back to the papers because they are more entertaining than I am. By a long shot, by a long shot. Let's check the chat. If you are in Facebook land, or hang on, we need to look in Twitch land as well. I've not looked at Twitch. Good morning, Twitch. Welcome to Radio Apocalypse. I hope that you guys are super duper pooper scooper cool. Let's go to Twitch on my computer actually, because we can look at that much better. And yeah, so for the Twitch people, if you are watching just now, let's say, introduce myself. My name is Mojax Happy. Just call me Mo in the chit chat, and please know that you are welcome here. I will be doing simultaneous broadcasts between here and also YouTube every morning, and you will also have the benefit of my evening show into the night from 12:30 every single night. Hang on, there we go. Yes, we are live, and there is one person watching. That's amazing. Thank you so much. We're going to get a little bit of feedback just now because I don't know how to switch off the sound. Hold on, there we go. I've switched off the sound. That's great. Now I can monitor both. Hope we don't have any lag. Let's just check the... Yep, we're sitting at just under 100 on the CPU. We should be okay. And yep, everything seems to be fine. This is working really well. I'm super duper happy. And let's quickly look back on... You need to... Morning mum. You need to do Twitch. Twitch is just another app. I will set you up with that later today, Mum, so you can see what's going on. Alright, it's very good. Ah, that's my mama. My mama's watching me. That's cool. Right, so yes, welcome Twitch people. If you're watching, I hope that you're having a great Monday. I hope that you'll come back and join us another time with Mojax Happy and the papers. Righty-ho, so let us go back to the said papers just now and continue with... where are we? There we go. Perfect. Right. Daily Fail. As Black Lives Matters protests topple one statue and deface a Churchill memorial while police stand by. Home Secretary tells the Mail she condemns them as lawless and reckless. Dun dun dun. Lawless and reckless. Yep. That's not inaccurate. Let's just face it just now. Hold on. I need to bring up that window. It's true. They are lawless and reckless. But they're at the end of their tether. If toppling a statue and drawing and defacing Winston Churchill brings about critical change that is necessary in this country, then do it. Do it. Without a doubt. You have to. And if you don't, and you think that they're being stupid, you're a fucking moron. Alright? Because people have had enough. If you're sitting there thinking that this is a good thing, this is a terrible thing, you are stuck in your ways in a paradigm which is designed to exploit people. Alright? That is it. How can you sit there and sleep at night? Alright? When there's children starving in this very country we live in. Alright? You're a disgrace. A disgrace. How can you sit there and be happy that people are getting beaten up? People are being targeted because of their skin colour. If you think that's okay, if you think that that's okay, and you want to condemn these protesters as lawless and reckless, then you're wrong. And Priti Patel okay, who is not of direct Western descent, she is from an ethnic group, should fucking know better. Alright, Priti Patel is our Home Secretary. Let's just move past this because I can feel a mass triggering coming on. Government accused of ignorance on racism. Now let's go back and read the thing. Hold on. Also leading the protests across the UK, the Daily Mail headline is lawless and reckless. The paper reports comments by Home Secretary Priti Patel condemning the toppling of the Colston statue. The Mail also pictures a memorial to Winston Churchill in London, which was defaced. Graffiti sprawled on the statue called the former British Prime Minister a racist. The paper reports comments by Miss Patel describing the actions of a thuggish minority as disgraceful and that's a fair comment. A thuggish minority, absolutely. However, the fact that it's got your goat up, Miss Patel, the fact that you have got to go out of your way to say such things is a very positive thing. It means the message has gone against what your core beliefs are, that somebody's taken that cheese grater over your knuckles and irritated the shit out of you enough to call people thuggish. That's a good thing. Perhaps maybe then you will then go back to your police forces because you are in charge of that. Let that sink in. Priti Patel, you're in charge of the police. You're Home Secretary. You tell them to clean up their house. Side with the people that are fighting the right fight, because these are babies throwing a tantrum, but they're conscious, cognitive babies with a critical thinking process. Right? They will throw their tantrum until they want to stop. Okay? And yeah, you know something? This will probably all go away and we'll probably have no change because people are sheep and you know it. And you will just carry on as normal. And that will disgust the shit out of me. It really will. I don't get it. Call me an idealist. I think I am actually an idealist in that sense. So let's move on to it. Right, Guardian. Government accused of ignorance over racism. People dying alone, often left. Oh, yuck. We'll talk about that in a second. The government has been accused of ignorance on racism in the UK for suggesting that protests are driven only by anger about prejudice in the US. Not true. According to The Guardian, Shadow Justice Secretary David Lammy said it was real ignorance to suggest protesters were only angry about the police's actions across the Atlantic, with Labour MP Dawn Butler saying the government is not listening. It's so true. And lacks commitment to resolve issues of racism in our own country. Very true as well. Earlier, Health Secretary Matt Hancock said he did not think the UK was racist. The paper also reports that people who have died at home alone from COVID-19 have been found up to 2 weeks later. But smelly. Right, picture again of that dude getting chucked in. Daily Telegraph, dude getting chucked in again. We're going to talk this here to quarantine won't work, Home Office says. Right, good. Let's read what that says. Quarantine won't work, Home Office concedes. It is the headline on the front page of the Daily Telegraph. The paper reports that travel plans risk descending into chaos as new restrictions on people arriving in the UK come into force on Monday, citing a leaked Home Office document. The Telegraph says there is no way for officials to ensure details of these filling in a form at all points of entry are genuine, and fines will only be issued if they are obviously false. So basically, quarantine won't work. People aren't going to take it seriously. I mean, why should they? At the end of the day, why the hell should they? Because let's face it, the government hasn't taken it seriously, have they? The government haven't taken it seriously in the slightest, and as a result of that, why should anybody else do it? They've allowed one of the senior aides and advisors to it all to get away with absolute nonsense. And I mean, nobody's going to take quarantine seriously if that's the case, you know. I mean, really, it's a joke. It's a joke. And what we're specifically talking about here is the 2 weeks worth of quarantine when people enter the country. It needs to be forcibly done. They need to be tagged for that particular moment, and a tag that you know that will come off after the 2 weeks. That's the draconian person in me, the right wing person in me. Right, here we go. Look, here. Remember, I promised you what that red on the statue was. Okay, here it is. Tears of blood. You know, crazy. Meanwhile, the Times reports that Britons will be offered a flood of cheap airline seats and package holidays as firms try to lure nervous travellers abroad, according to industry experts. The paper also reports that Boris Johnson is due to announce tough new laws to stop foreign takeovers that present a risk to the UK national security. It comes as a concern grows over the influence of China. Companies that do not report attempted takeovers that could present security risks could see bosses hit with fines, disqualification, or even jail, the paper adds. I'm surprised we don't have legislation in place for that already, you know, but that's a global thing. That's capitalism for you. I'm sorry. That's capitalism turning around and biting you back, mate. You know, mate. The eye, picture of the boy again. Stay-at-home warning for northern cities. Mayors urge millions of people to stay under lockdown despite government measures to ease restriction and reopen shops because of high virus reproduction rates. Stay-at-home warning for northern cities, the lead story on the eye. English mayors concerned by high reproduction rates in different regions have urged millions to stay under lockdown, contrary to guidance being issued by Westminster. The paper also reports comments from a government scientific advisor that the UK's late response, look, you can't see it there, but look, what I'm reading there I've highlighted in blue. UK's late response cost many lives, plus the PM's desire to open up the economy to avoid mass unemployment. Let's have a little rant just about that just now. Okay. If you are a follower of this show, alright, if you do actually watch this show regularly, you know how critical I have been about the government's late response about things. You know that I feel very strongly about the lack of PPE, the lack of pretty much everything that is kind of negative to do with the management of this. You know, it was a blasé performance by our Prime Minister here. It was just a joke, to be perfectly honest, an absolute friggin' joke. But understand, okay, that the scientific community agree with Mojax here. They agree with the Mo that the late response has cost lives. It's something I've said continuously about everything all the time. And I think, I can't get my headphones right today, hold on. I think that there has to be a reckoning. We have to hold people to account about things like this. But again, it's that coffee shop lifestyle paradigm thing that's going on. Nobody will actually care in the slightest, because unless it's happening in your backyard, it's not going to be a thing that you give a shit about. However, people are changing, the paradigm is shifting. We have protests going on about racism. We'll see if any change comes of this. And if change comes from this, people will then understand that civil unrest is potentially the way to go to make things go better in a more positive direction. Let's continue with the papers though just now. Daily Express. Boris battle plan to save 3 million jobs. Suspect British ex-girlfriend quizzed by police on Madeline. Wow. Shocking. Sophie, the special one, Countess a tower of strength for the Queen. Amazing. Right, okay, let's read what Boris is saying about the plans. Keeping the focus on the economy. The Daily Express headlines on Mr Johnson's battle plan to save 3 million jobs. The paper reports that the PM will fire the starting gun to kickstart the economy before 3.5 million jobs are lost forever. Mr Johnson will tell ministers to find a way of lifting lockdown by midsummer and keep workers in their jobs, the paper adds. Yeah, we're about to hit a terrible crisis, let's face it. It's going to be shit. Financial Times, shipping industry warns of trade logjam as crews remain stranded. Okay. The Financial Times headlines on warnings from the shipping industry that up to 400,000 crew are stranded at sea or at home by the global pandemic, leading to a trade logjam. One industry expert tells the papers the situation is a ticking time bomb, with growing concerns over the supply chain, rising fatigue and the safety of staff. The paper also reports that ministers have identified the 22nd of June as the date they want pubs and restaurants to open. The hospitality sector was not due to open until the 4th of July. Interesting. Daily Star. One hail of a drought. Okay. Hosepipe bam after violent ice storms. The Daily Star's lead report is on the weather shocker that Britain could be hit with hosepipe bans despite hail and downpours over the weekend. The dry spring and hot summer could mean large parts of the country will be at risk of wildfires, the paper reports. And look, that's the papers. That is the papers done for this morning, which is a great thing. Thank you for being with me during the time of the papers. I need to just bring up my internet window again so I can switch things around. We were talking about how people have had time to think while they have been stuck at home, and how they've not really had that cosseted coffee shop lifestyle imposed upon them. They've had an opportunity to have critical thinking, and critical thinking is an absolute must if you are to understand what's going on. If you just believe what you are told without questioning it, without understanding it, then you're a sheep. You are a sheep. And let's face it, being a sheep's not a good thing, because we eat sheep. Alright? Mutton. We eat mutton. Wolves also eat sheep. And I would rather be something that's not a sheep. Alright? Let's just face it. So the paradigm that we're in just now, we are actually, the whole planet is on a knife's edge of a paradigm for the better or for the worst. Okay, we either go backwards into the world that we've just moved out of because of COVID, okay, where we recognise just now that there was a magic money tree, that people have had critical thinking, and the first opportunity to stand up and do something has been met with civil unrest in the UK, hence the protests. We have a whole bunch of people as well that are being critical of the protesters because they are stuck in the old paradigm, because they have a crap load to lose. Okay, if you have a crap load to lose, you're not going to want to shift the status quo. Okay, but I'm sorry to say, human beings evolve. We need to evolve as a society, as a civilization on the planet globally, to make things work better. I think that I am going to do a special just about paradigm shift, previous paradigms, slavery, the human condition as a whole. I think that's probably where we'll end up with the human condition, talking about that. Hold on a second. For those that don't know, the human condition is the Wednesday night show where I talk about the positive and the negative aspects of being human. Anyway, the paradigm shift that I would like to look at is one where nobody is left behind. That is kind of my top-notch thing for it. And how do we achieve that? Well, capitalism has been shown to be corrupt and evil and doesn't work because soulless entities such as corporations have more rights than you do. Legally on paper they don't, but the way in the spirit of the law is that they do because of the fact that they bring in money to the economy. So all the business owners are driven by numbers on paper to have growth consistently, but you can't have consistent growth because eventually the pool of money will run out. Okay, so if that's the case, then the pool of money has to be increased, and then as a result of that, debt on a national level is also increased because you need more money to have exponential growth or even reasonable growth. And if you limited the money and you always had growth, eventually there would be no money to grow anymore. Alright, that is the basic principles of supply and demand when it comes to money. So you need to put more into the supply chain. Right, so that's capitalism. Socialism, it doesn't work because people always want more. Okay, so it enforces a bit of corruption going on there. Also, where does that money come from to have all state-owned particular things to make it work for civilization? Well, it doesn't. It's been proven that socialism on its own does not work as well. So my politics lie in a world where socialist capitalism is around. Okay, this is where you have a strong capitalist economy that has strict boundaries in place for trading. Okay, the top of the agenda is human rights and human beings. Okay, you have to do that. The second tier down, but just as great, is no exploitation, or no exploitation of animals or the environment. Okay, so those are the two top tier things: human beings, the rest of the world in a common sense approach. Apart from that, capitalism is fair. You should be able to trade freely and pay the minimal amount of taxes that the law entails. However, it is the capitalist taxes on corporations that should be slightly greater, because that is what should pay for civilization. We should have a greater pool of money where, this is where it gets interesting, civilization is managed on socialist values. Shock, horror. Do you feel the shock and the horror of that? Okay, so what are socialist values? Okay, we shouldn't have to pay a road tax in the UK for the roads and have the ability to travel in our vehicles. But that is what we do. It's a license to travel on the roads. We shouldn't have to pay a ridiculous amount of income tax because we are people. We want to live a life. We are giving up our time in exchange for tokens to buy shit. Alright? Money. Okay, we should be able to enjoy that. Okay, we should have free education. We should have universal health care. We should have free electricity. Yes, we should. Okay, we should have free internet. We should have the infrastructure of civilization should be on such a scale that everything that we need is provided and everything that we want becomes capitalist choice. Okay, that is just me in a common sense nutshell. Oh, it's not going to work, Mo. You know, it's not going to work. How are we going to get people to be motivated to work for nothing? Well, they're not working for nothing. You still pay them a good wage. You know, you have Scottish Power managing the infrastructure for the power grid, the supply of electricity coming in, and they get paid. That's as a capital part. They get paid by the government to do this. And you know something? Let's not make electricity and things free. Let's just make it very cost effective. So if an engineer's getting paid, has to be paid 40 grand a year to manage the network, we pay them 40 grand a year, but then we look at the amount of engineers and staff that we've got. It then becomes a non-profit organisation. Okay, and that's where the difference is. Okay, why do they have to make profit off our backs? Why is that necessary? You know, It's not necessary. You can still make a living, you can still have a company, and you can still turn round at the end of the year and reward your people for doing a good job with bonuses. Where does that money come from? That comes from meeting the targets necessary by the government. They've got targets just now. Reward them financially. The money doesn't come from the consumer, it comes from the government. Okay, so where does that money come from for the government? It comes just now from our income taxes, maybe a reduction slightly in income tax, but an increase in corporation tax. Well then, why would people then come and trade in the UK, right, if they were going to get taxed more? Because it's a big ass market and they'll still make friggin' money. Okay, that's why. Alright, and let's say Coca-Cola pulled out. Okay, well then I'll start a company called Mocha-Cola. Alright, there you go. Alright, it might be slightly tasting different, like that sun-kissed cola in a glass bottle we used to get in the 1970s. However, we'll call it Mocha-Cola. Alright, if Pan Drop Mints say, we're not doing this anymore, you're charging us too much tax, we will start a thing called Moments. That's capitalism. Okay, there will always be something to replace the other ones. And if you shit yourself that, oh my god, Coca-Cola is going to move out, okay, or the mint company are going to move out of the country, okay, there's always going to be somebody else sitting in line to take over, to capture that marketplace for them. And you still have that competitive edge of things that are going on. That is the paradigm I want. I want people to have social security, not like social security, but social security. Security about being human. Is it wrong for me to think that? Is it wrong to want that for you and your children? I think not. Here endeth the lesson. Mo has finished his little rant, and I hope that it was worthwhile. I truly, truly do. Okay, let's have a quick look. Twitchland, you're doing great. I'm so pleased that we're streaming there quite well and everything is fine. YouTube land, I hope you're good as well. That is tremendous. And let's check, the processor is still sitting at just under 100, so the stream should have integrity and be working exceptionally well. This has been fun this morning. It's been fun. It's been good. Now, I was going to try and play you a little positivity video this morning as well. Let me see if I can find that and make sure as well that it is okay. Yeah, that looks good. Looking good, looking good, looking good. Alright, we just need to move you down a little bit so that window is captured properly. It's a video on YouTube. You know what? It's only 2 minutes long, but it's something that is definitely worth watching. And I think what we will do is we shall bring this up just now. Hold on, I need to put the sound up a little bit for it. And I will move across to that part of the screen. Okay, there we are. Right, so you will see it come up just now, the little doggy in a box. Little doggy in a box. We like the doggy in a box. And I just need to make sure that, where is it? Desktop audio. Where is desktop audio? Is there? That's good. Right. Okay. We should be on for a winner just now. Let's just see if this works. Okay. It looks okay. It looks okay. This is good. This is great. Right. Fantastic. Right. Let's play this. Let's play this.
Oh, cool. You gotta be kidding me. Get lost.
There you go. Now, what is all that about? That is just a wee life lesson as such. You know, the wee dog just didn't give up. It didn't recognise the fact that it only had 3 legs and just moved forward and did the right thing. Whereas the little boy recognised that he also had the similar issue with one of his limbs, but recognised it as a negative sense, and was almost insulted that he had received a gift of an animal that had the same affliction, had the same issues as him. But eventually he realised that, you know, it's not a bad thing if something something as simple as a puppy, as complex as a puppy, as simple and as complex as a puppy, can live its life with, you know, persistence and constantly being pushed away, then maybe the lesson there to be learned is to never give up no matter what. And we're moving into this massive paradigm change where things are either going to be good, they're going to be bad, but we should always strive for the best and never give up no matter what. And that is a vital lesson to everything and everyone. Yeah, there we go. We are finished. We are finished for today. However, I want to point out tonight we have the accumulation of our watch party weekend. We have been watching the Back to the Future trilogy over the weekend, Back to the Future 1, 2 and 3, and then tonight we shall be broadcasting live from Edinburgh, Wales and potentially California with the panel as well, and anybody else that wants to come on and join us, because we're going to be discussing all 3 movies. It might be a little bit of a longer show. I might try and scoop up some interesting sound bites to throw on there as well. We'll see what I can do. I know that Barry has got like a list of over 20 different did you knows for Back to the Future, so I might just hand the entire show over to Barry tonight, to be perfectly honest, because he'll have lots of interesting and wonderful things to say about it. But yeah, it would be great if you could join us on Twitch and on YouTube. We will do them both in a simulcast, and we'll have fun with it. It's been good. I hope that my ranting this morning has not scared you off. I hope my Scottish accent was understandable for many of you around the world. And I hope that your start to the week is very good. I do. The time is just after 7:30 in the morning. I am now going to go and get myself organised for picking up the children. I go and pick them up at 9 o'clock from their mums this morning, and yeah, we will have good fun with it all. They're coming back, hanging out for the week, as they always do. So let's finish with some beautiful Oriental music. I always find that resets my brain, and we'll see you again tonight, 10:30, and back tomorrow at 6:30 for the early show. Take care.